Welcome to the Misophonia podcast. This is episode 13 of season 3. My name is Adil Ahmad, and I have Misophonia. This week's episode is the last of 2020, a truly memorable year. This is a follow-up to last week's amazing conversation with Jane. Cleo is Jane's daughter. She also suffers from misophonia, and now we hear about life from her perspective. Technically, it was recorded before Jane's due to some scheduling conflicts, so it may sound a little out of order at times, but here we get to listen to how Cleo has handled relationships of all kinds, friends, boyfriends, and especially family, having a parent who's a misophone and able to provide some guidance. But as we're all well aware, this ultimately is a very personal condition that we need to figure out how to handle for ourselves. Don't forget, of course, you can book your own interviews for next season. They're starting to fill up more and more. This will be season 4. It'll be recorded in March, all on Zoom. And you can go to misophoniapodcast.com, find the Be a Guest link, and you can easily book a slot there. All right, now here's my conversation with Cleo. Welcome, Cleo. Welcome to the show. Good to have you here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, you mentioned you mentioned you're half English, half German. You want to just mention kind of where you're from?
I live in Hamburg in Germany. Lived here my whole life. My mom's English, my dad's German. So I've never lived anywhere else. That's why my English isn't perfect, but hopefully good enough.
Oh, more than good enough. That's great. Do you want to maybe I guess what do you do in Hamburg?
I'm a freelancer, so probably also because of misophonia, picked a job where I could work from at home and not with a lot of
Yeah,
people. So I always enjoyed that. So I work at home. I'm a freelance graphic designer, but also do little other jobs. But normally,
yeah.
actually, just things from at home, which makes life a bit easier for me.
Yeah, have you always did you try to freelance from the get-go, or was this
I
after like
had like little
painful
mini
experience?
jobs in a production firm for advertisement, which was quite cool. But I stayed there actually for quite some time, maybe for 6, 7 years. But it was like a mini job, so I had just certain hours in a week that I had to be there.
Yeah.
This whole from mornings till evenings desk job thing that normal people do, that was never really
Yeah.
my thing. So I always
Right.
tried to figure something out that I can that I don't have to do that because it's just not my thing. I like my quiet. I like my space. Not everyone can do it to work at home and actually finish the tasks they have to do. But I can. It's better for me. I can do it better.
Oh, I totally agree. I'm kind of the same way. Not everyone can work from home, but
Yeah.
if you can motivate yourself, that's great. I mean, I have fun in offices too, but yeah, at this point, I'm more than happy to work from home and have that freedom.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so you're freelancing as a graphic designer. Do you want to let's go back to kind of early days. So you grew up in Hamburg,
Yeah.
and what was life? What was the childhood like for you? Was that kind of where things started to get rough for you in terms of misophonia?
Well, the thing is that I don't really, there's not like a real breaking point that I can remember where I figured, oh, something's wrong. My mom also has misophonia, so she used to tell me that noises were never my thing, that if she wanted to vacuum the house, I started crying because of the sounds. If other schoolmates, classmates started to cry, I cried. It's like certain noises, I just couldn't deal with them even as a baby. Um, I
Oh,
have
really?
the
Going back to
yeah,
infant years. Wow. Okay.
yeah, that there were a lot of things that she just noticed weren't that easy. And I think that in my teenage years, it really started that I can remember that all these things started to annoy me. And because my mom had it too. And before puberty, I think it was when she like we were sitting at the dinner table and she didn't like the eating noises, and if she then told me to stop a certain thing, I hated that, even though I understood completely what she meant. But being
Mm.
the person who is being told to stop it or to stop a certain noise or movement, I could never understand it, even though I should be the perfect candidate to understand it because I have the same um, ticks, same things, the
Yeah.
problems. So yeah, it I think it started a bit in after puberty hit. I was always a bit didn't like certain noises, and then it always just grew, and it got more.
And that's interesting. Did your mom, when your mom noticed it as you were an infant, did she recognize, like, did she have um did she have misophonia at the time too herself, or
Uh,
was it maybe something that she picked up later? I mean, usually people get it early, but I
yeah,
have heard cases where it starts a bit later. So I'm just
yeah.
curious if,
No, she had it already. She's I grew up with someone in my household having misophonia.
yeah.
No, she had it since her early childhood, I'm pretty sure. So she knew, which was actually quite nice for me, even though it's horrible to say that you don't want your mom to have the same thing. But growing up, that she just knew what to do and what not to do, and she never got
Mm-hmm.
angry or frustrated or mad when there were things that I didn't want to hear
Mm.
or I couldn't cope with, because she just understood fully what it felt like. So she's the only
Did she
person I
talk about it
know.
with you growing up? Um,
Yeah,
even
yeah,
though even though there was no name really probably
yeah. No,
around.
there was no name.
Yeah.
It was just like sensitivity, and yeah, you're just like
Yeah.
your mom. You're also sensitive to noises. So it was always like more of a you're sensitive to something than having a name for it. And she was actually the one who a couple of years ago told me, called me up, very, very excited, telling me that there's actually
Yeah.
now a name to it or a
Okay,
name
so
for
she
it.
discovered it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she discovered it, and she's like, finally, now people, I can tell people what it is, and it's not just me being silly and stupid, and it's
Right.
actually a real thing, and other people suffer from it too. So I think a lot of people feel that way, that they were very happy that there was a name to it.
Absolutely. And what about other people around you? So you had your mom, who was luckily kind of an ally, except
Yeah,
when she would tell you to be quiet at the
myself, yeah.
dinner table. But how is how are other people close to you? Maybe other family members or friends.
Well, I have to say that my current boyfriend, we've been together for 2.5 years now. He's the first person or the first, they say, guy I had a relationship with who actually tries to understand what I'm going through.
Mm.
The men I dated before were, yeah, they made fun of it. So if there was
Oy.
something that I didn't like, yeah, it was horrible. It's like I also don't like spiders, and people then chasing me with bugs or spiders. I don't know why people think it's funny, but there are just some people, and it's the
Yeah,
same
above
with
the
me.
age of 9, I would say
Yeah,
that's
it's
not
like it's not
good.
really appropriate anymore. No, so yeah, I had some people who, yeah, would just make fun of it, and I never understood that if there was something like a eating noise, or I also have it when you pick your fingers or tap something on the table or with a
Hmm.
pen. So there are a lot of things that I actually don't like. And to continue that then after me saying, "Oh, please stop," it's like they laugh, and then they continue, and they continue louder, and it just drives me
Yeah.
crazy.
So a
So
partner doing that. So how did I'm just curious, is
yeah.
it pretty much a litmus test, like you know, it's pretty quick that they're out the door, or do you kind of try to think that you can change them or think that they'll change? I've never really, yeah, I'm curious how
Um,
that thought process went.
yeah, I always, I mean, I always believe in the best in people, which has
Mm-hmm.
good things and bad things. No, I always thought that they're gonna change. I thought that at some point, if I say it again and again, at some point they're gonna have to believe me that it's not just a game I'm playing to, I don't know, get attention or just to be the silly girl, that it actually is a problem. But if there are just so many things that add up and nothing's really being taken seriously, then it's just then they can go. It just doesn't make sense
Yeah.
anymore.
I mean, in hindsight, do you feel like if you know, it sounds like it's not going to happen again with your current partner, but I'm curious if you would tell, if let's say you were giving advice to somebody in a similar situation as you, would you tell him or her to just leave, or because it's you know it's
Ooh,
going to make
it's
your life
yeah.
torture,
Um,
or you can skip the question. I'm just curious if you had any strong thoughts
no, I think I have to
about
say
that.
yes, leave. I mean, I also think that the older I get, there are certain things that get worse. That there always I have the feeling new noises or things coming that I don't like. But
Yeah,
I also got much more. I don't know how you say it. I just respect myself too much to say, okay, I'm gonna have a boyfriend again who just makes fun of me. I know what I can deal with and what I can't deal with, and it just makes me emotionally sick having someone around me who makes fun of me with something that I can't. It's not my fault. I can't change it. So today now I would say yeah, if you have a boyfriend or a spouse who just teases you and does not take you seriously with this, then it's not going to change.
yeah. There's probably many people who are might be listening and are maybe in a situation. So
Yeah.
it's you know, we're not saying leave, but we're just saying
Yeah,
don't feel guilty about thinking that way at
yeah,
least.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And yeah, and we hit up on a good point just a few seconds ago. There's a lot of younger kids who are thinking about, oh my God, is everyone's talking about triggers, number of triggers multiplying.
Mm,
Is this going to be a disaster? But like you said, as you get older, you become more of an adult, you become more assertive of your own freedom.
yeah.
And so, yeah, taking having respect for yourself and having some freedom definitely makes things better,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
while at the same time the number of triggers is probably
Yeah, that's
exploding.
true.
So yeah, why don't we so did it start to affect back around when you were in school, did it start to affect your grades and whatnot, or how your kind of your experience at school?
Um, Not that I can remember. No, I think school was pretty normal. I have to say I wasn't. I'm not. I liked. I didn't like school.
Yeah.
I didn't really go a lot as much as
Okay.
I should have.
Yeah.
No, I was a teeny, so I had other things on my mind than going to school. So Misophonia never really affected me in that sense. Also with my first boyfriend, who now, if you look back to it, he was. I don't know how someone with misophonia could ever be with someone like that. So that's why I think that really the whole teenage years, also with school until I graduated, all this time. Sure, I didn't like eating noises and people, yeah, with pens in their hands. That was always a thing. But other than that, I had the feeling that everything was pretty normal in the sense that it can be normal.
Yeah.
It actually, yeah, it got worse after after school and then work and adult life. That was actually more, yeah, where it got worse. So school never really, nothing really affected me there with misophonia.
Yeah, that seems to be not unusual that people are able to. Obviously, they notice it starts around a
Yeah,
young age. Usually not as young as yours. That's kind of interesting. And then, but yeah, around adulthood, just as you get more freedom, um, you yeah, the number of triggers gets really bad.
yeah.
And so, how did you start to then? How did you? start to cope with it around that point? Obviously, you're getting more and more annoyed and agitated.
Yeah.
What were some of the kind of your coping mechanisms of choice, other than being able to talk to your mom?
Yeah, I have to say that that was always I'm very, very happy about that. That I could always that there was someone who actually understood it. The best coping mechanism really is background music. If it's dinners, like in a family home or somewhere, it took me a while until I could actually tell people to please put music on in the background, but that makes a big difference. It's still not nice to sit at a table with certain family members and
Yeah,
eat
yeah,
with
yeah.
them. It's I'm never gonna like it, but music in the background does help. It's much better than sitting there in silence. And there are always people or family members who are a bit more difficult than others, that are a bit more louder and don't really understand that I have a problem with it. But yeah.
Did you grow up in a large family, or was it the extended family?
Large family in the sense that it was a patchwork family. So my mom and dad split when I was maybe 2 or 3 years old. So then I grew up with my mom. She then had a new husband. They had another child, and on the other hand, my dad also had a new wife. They had 2 children. So big family, but not all together. It was all a bit
Gotcha.
split. So
Yeah.
on the side with my mom, it was all fine because she, before I could even feel something was wrong or something I dislike something, she would already say, "Stop this," or to my stepdad, "You've got to be more quiet," or because she had the same thing. I think that was also something that helped before I could get really, really angry and get this frustration inside. There was someone actually who had the same feeling but got it a split second before I did, and was then the person who said something. So that always helped.
Yeah, I mean, misophones, we often have similar triggers, but sometimes
Yeah,
they're not.
yeah, that's true.
Did you guys have similar triggers? And then she was able to kind of be your advanced warning in a sense.
Yeah, we have actually similar things. There were certain things that I couldn't really understand until now, like things with if you yeah, how do you explain it? Like the packaging of spaghetti or rice or something,
Mm.
it makes this click.
Rappers, yeah.
Yeah, wrappers. I never really cared about that, and then like a year or two ago, I finally understood why she hated it because it started with me too.
Yeah.
That I didn't like that. But other than that, we were actually always pretty similar. It was always a lot to do with eating and a lot to do with also fidgeting, like too quick hand
Hmm.
movements or picking your nails or fingernails or also your lips. It was always something that I had the feeling that we couldn't control. Um, yeah, so
Yeah, it sounds
we're
like a
pretty
lot of
similar.
visual stuff for you guys.
Yeah.
For your mom. Did those kind of start early too, the visuals, or did that start to happen later?
I think that started a bit later. I think the sounds were
That
there
seems to be
first.
common. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it got a bit out of hand. Everything it just got a bit more
Yeah.
on every side.
Uh, And by
Yeah.
getting out of hand, is that it just more stuff at home started triggering, or is it like, okay, you going out in the world and the I don't know, public transportation and work, like sounds from everywhere were starting to get you?
Yeah, sounds from everywhere. It was a weird feeling to notice that actual normal sounds in the world could trigger you as much. I mean, there are also certain series that I can't watch because even though the plot sounds great, they have this. I think it was this German series on Netflix that every time there was something exciting about to happen, they put in music that was way, way, way too loud, and there was just not a good balance about the whole thing. So I couldn't even finish the first episode. So there are also like things like that I just can't get over with. I just can't watch. Or certain music, if it's too high pitched, I skip the song. I don't even give it a second chance. So there,
Yeah, I just did that today, yeah, I just did that earlier today. I listened to some, weird music from like the 60s, 50s, and 60s when they
yeah,
didn't necessarily mix things very well. Like
yeah,
they would have an instrument that they just didn't mix well, and just the frequencies would just really stick out. And
yeah,
so,
yeah.
I
Such
know
a
what you're talking
shame.
about. Yeah. Did yeah, what are some of the ways that you've kind of maybe expressed your misophonia other than just being able to turn off Netflix out in the world? Have you probably have the glare, and have you ever told anybody to shut the
Um,
f up?
the better I know the people, the more I
The more
can.
likely you to hurt them.
Yeah, I can actually shout at them.
Yeah, yeah.
um, yeah, for the outside normal world, I always have headphones in. I always listen
Yeah.
to podcasts. I'm always very excited if I find a podcast where I can actually feel joy listening to the people if they have a very nice sound, very
Mm-hmm.
nice voice. Because that's just the worst thing, finding a podcast that sounds just like the series sounds interesting, but that you give it a try and then it's you feel nope, that's it's not gonna work for me. I
Right.
can't listen to that. So yeah, normally I listen to more podcasts than music because I have just a feeling it's a bit more I can control it better. And yeah, and it took a while for me to tell people. Now that I have a name to it, it got a bit better. But also there's some people in my family that I haven't told yet, just because I pretty sure I know how the reaction's going to be, and it's not going to be positive. It's going to be like, oh yeah, you and your little problems, and oh yeah, and the noises. So they're
Yeah.
just making fun of it. So my boyfriend, I have to say, is pretty cool with it. I mean, as as cool as you can be, having a girlfriend who says stop it all the time.
Did you ever
um,
know anybody before you that had it, maybe?
no,
Or
no.
yeah.
And then he met me and also my mom. So it's
Right.
yeah.
He's like, I'm trapped.
He's like, yeah,
Did
this is great.
I have to impressing two misophones. I mean, that's
It's not
not an
easy.
easy task.
No.
Did your mom used to maybe express it? Did she tell family members? Or I'm curious if she, well, I guess, I mean, I'll talk to her in a future episode.
Yeah, but
Maybe we'll
she
save it for that. I'm just curious
okay.
if you maybe if she kind of like influenced you or you influenced her in being able to speak up more about this.
No, we're both very introvert people.
Hmm. Hmm.
She can cope a bit better with people than I can. I also have like the anxiety disorder and little things like that. But yeah, no, she always had difficulties telling people also because of their reaction. She only told, like, really told some of her close friends now that there's a word for it that is called misophonia, that it's not just her being trying to be special, because so also
Right.
people then say, if you tell them, yeah, I have a problem with noises and I don't like this and that, and then they start coming with, oh yeah, I have the same thing, and yeah, I also don't
I
like noises.
know.
Or you're like, ah, it's not the same. If you would know what
Right.
I feel,
It's
it's
exhausting. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, because you don't want to be the person who pretends, yeah, but I'm better because my noise is
Right.
much worse for me than it is for you, because you don't want to sound proud because you can't be proud of it, but you also want the other person to understand it is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, these are some of the many reasons why it's almost not worth telling people or
Yeah,
just going through
yeah,
the effort.
exactly. Yeah. And if you know,
Did
it's
you said
just, oh yeah, sorry.
yeah, no, no. Well, I was gonna say, you'd mentioned you mentioned that you had some other anxiety and whatnot. I'm curious if you've talked to professionals at all about any kind of mental health stuff and whether they've heard of misophonia.
Yeah, I did. And no, they haven't heard about Misophonia. um,
Classic
yeah.
answer, unfortunately. But
Yeah,
yeah.
my mom has more research on the whole topic than my what do you call them,
Hmm.
new neurologist had.
Right.
Um, but the neurologist I actually went to, he's a very intelligent and sweet guy. He's like in his maybe late 50s, mid 50s, and he's open to new things. So it's not like he shrugged it off and said, "Nah, yeah, I don't know if that's a thing." He was actually pretty interested. So I always like to get that, how do you say, the vibe from doctors that actually, yeah, listen and say this could be a thing, and I know what you're saying, and I'm
Yeah.
going to read into it and not just like shrug it off. But no, I haven't until now. I haven't met anyone who really knows about misophonia being a real actual thing.
Yeah. And actually, yeah. Other than speaking of people knowing and knowing that if people have misophonia, other than your mom, have you met anyone else who has it out in Hamburg or wherever?
No, I have the feeling that a friend of mine has it,
Hmm.
but I haven't actually really talked to her in depth with it. But I'm pretty sure because I can a lot of things that she does or says, I see myself in her. So I have
Yeah.
the feeling that there's something there, and she just doesn't know that there's a word for it. But also, do you really want to be the person who tells someone else, I know what problem you have? It's also a bit weird. So yeah.
Yeah. So I know the name of your disorder. Let's talk about
Yeah.
it over ice cream or something. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not quite sure I'm gonna handle that, but I'm pretty sure that she has it too. But other than that, no, my sister's a bit has it a little bit, but not like my mom and I do. Um
Yeah.
yeah, but
Did
otherwise
your
no.
what did your stepdad kind of do when when he was started living with two misophones?
He was pretty okay as far as I can remember because my
That's a bit of a relief. Yeah.
mom, yeah, just from the beginning, told him what he's allowed to do and what not to
Yeah.
do. It's like there's just certain things that I mean, till this day, it drives her crazy. I mean, they split up too at some point after a couple of
Hmm.
years. And there's when he drinks tea, he's someone who like how do you say it? His nostrils go very big.
Yep.
And yeah, she just thinking about that, she gets like goosebumps. She said it's one of the worst things ever to always
Yeah.
have to see that. But other than that, with like the noises that he or the expressions that he could actually control, he was pretty good. And yeah, didn't do the
Well, that's
things.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's a bit of a relief.
yeah.
Um, okay, so and then are you living with your partner right now, or are you guys still
No,
living separate?
honestly,
Okay.
I don't know how that's supposed to ever
Yeah,
work. Yeah.
that's because it's come up in some interviews recently where somebody's on just about to move in with somebody, or they're maybe living together but separate rooms kind of thing.
Yeah.
So or thinking about like new construction, old construction.
Yeah.
Uh, there's all these factors that kind of you sometimes will not think about and then until it's too late kind of thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
anyways, I'm curious. Sounds like you have maybe thought about or considered the possibility of like how would that work.
Yeah, we have odd. It's more me having to think about it, about the
Right,
whole
right, right.
the perfect situation kind of thing. Um, yeah, I live. We do have two different flats. My flat's a bit bigger than his, so the
Yeah.
plan that I made in my head would be he could move to my place, but I would need to have some kind of plan B, because I also work from home. So I'm here all the time, every day, and he's a nurse, so he's home quite a lot. Sometimes he's gone for the night, which is nice because then I can sleep alone again. So there's always these
Right.
factors. But I couldn't just now move in together. I would need to have a bit more space, or a little office somewhere with a double bed or a single bed to just,
Yeah.
in case it gets really, really bad, that I just know in my head. Maybe I'm never going to use it, but just that I know, okay,
Decompression zone.
yeah, I
Yeah.
have a place that I can go and hide and come back in 24 hours and then I'm fine again. Because not having that, just thinking about it, I get anxiety. It's like, no, this is not, it's not going to happen. It's not going to work. So yeah, we'll see how that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you hit upon an interesting thing about, a lot of the tools that we use to get over this is obviously headphones and whatnot, but sometimes it's just the knowing that there is a way out.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it's enough to let your brain deal with a situation. Do you find that happen a lot? Like, you can bring your headphones out, or you can have that extra room, but you don't necessarily have to use it.
Yeah.
Um, do you notice that that helps? Just that reduction in stress or anxiety in your case, maybe
It does, yeah, but only till to a certain
a certain point.
extent. Yeah.
Right,
It
of course.
would be
Yeah,
perfect if that would that would solve it all.
right.
Just knowing
Right,
there's an
right.
extra room. No, but it does help, yeah. But yeah, it's difficult. If it will be a second room in the same apartment, I also have the feeling it wouldn't be as good as if you have somewhere. I mean, it's wishful thinking. Everything costs money, and I know that. But having a little room somewhere else is, because I just like being alone as well. I like
Yeah,
sleeping alone. I like waking up alone. So all of these things that no one really wants in a relationship where you're happy to move in together and wake up together and do nice things 24/7. It's I just like being alone more than anything
right,
else. I have a little dog. She's like my little companion. She's everywhere where I am, and that's enough. um
right.
so yeah, my boyfriend really had to get used to that. It took him a while, but he was always kind about it. He knew it's not his fault. And it's not that I dislike him and I don't want to be with him. It's just I dislike everyone and I don't want to be with anyone.
Yes.
So it's not like a personal vendetta against him. It's just the way I am. Yeah. But he's,
Yeah.
I have to
Yeah.
say, pretty cool with it.
So he does he try hard not to trigger you, or is it more like, um, he'll trigger you, but then he'll be respectful and stop it. I'm curious.
Both.
Um, yeah. Okay. Got you.
Yeah, yeah. There are certain things that I can like picking his lips. I can tell him to stop it, and 30 seconds later he does it again because I don't think he
Mm,
acknowledges that he does it. So
hmm.
that's the thing where we always
You mean acknowledges as in he doesn't realize when he's doing it, or
yeah, yeah.
he doesn't want to acknowledge. I mean, it sounds like he's respectful, so I'm sure he would try to.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
doesn't intentionally do it, but
Yeah, no,
yeah.
I really have the feeling that there are certain things like that, and also the picking at the sides of your fingernails, that they're
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
just like it's automatic. He doesn't really know that he's doing it, because with the other things, like he doesn't start eating before the television is on, or there's some kind of noise, or when we're in the
Gotcha.
car
Yeah.
together and I turn off the motor and also the radio then goes off. Then before he starts doing anything where he knows I don't like noises, he waits till I either put the radio back on or open the car door, that there's some kind of noise and it's not just a quiet like vacuum. So he
Yeah.
is
Oh, I know
pretty
what you're talking about. Yeah.
cool about that. Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. Yeah. We need him to teach a course maybe or
Yeah.
something, or we do a YouTube channel. Very cool. And when, but so when you do get triggered, people have their kind of like their the you know recovery time is what
Yeah.
some people call it. Do you well, around him, I'm sure it's knowing somebody who's trying to at least not intentionally hurting you,
Hmm.
for lack of a better word. You find that's a better recovery time than like a random person in the world or at a restaurant kind of thing. Like, I guess, yeah, I'm trying to see how do you recover the best? Do you just leave the situation or close your eyes, just throw your headphones on at all times?
Oh,
Are there certain
it's a
things
good
that maybe
question.
help your recovery time?
Yeah.
That's
I
kind of a
have to
mumbling,
say,
rambling question, but
no, 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 I know what you're trying to say.
yeah.
I have to say that with my the people I'm close to, especially my boyfriend, I have to say I can be a real um how do you say it, a nice like a bitch. I can be
I was gonna say I was thinking bitch, but I
yeah.
was being like, I'll let you
Yeah.
I'll let you finish that sentence. I don't want to be that kind of interviewer.
Yeah, no, but yeah, you thought correctly. Yeah, if it's something that he does that triggers me, I get angry very, very quickly, and I don't
Okay, so
hide
you
it
do get
anymore.
straight up angry. Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
got it. It's
yeah,
not like it's not like it's not reminder number 363. It's more like,
no,
dude,
it's more
I'm
of a I
yeah,
told you 1,000
yeah,
times. It's
yeah,
just stop. You know what I just don't like, what I can't cope with.
yeah.
Just
To be honest, yeah, being
yeah,
yeah honest and
yeah. So
gotcha.
yeah, if it's people that I don't know, I also get this like the anger inside, like this that I feel that it's building up inside my chest, but I can control it better. Like if it's in a supermarket and I hear or see sometimes it's also people just walking on the street eating ice cream in a very weird and disgusting way.
Right.
Also these things that I just can't. Then I just look away. If I go to shopping or something or go get food, I always have my earphones in, so I don't really hear the surroundings, which also helps. Yeah, and if it's people that I'm very close to, like my best friend, I can also tell her to because she doesn't live in Hamburg. She lives in Russia, so we're on the phone a lot. And if she wants to eat or tries to eat, I hear that immediately because I just have good ears.
On the
And
phone? Oh yeah, that's a
yeah,
no
yeah,
no.
yeah.
Right.
And then there's like a split second where she says, "Oh yeah, she forgot," and then told her, "Yeah, it's fine. Either you want to eat or you want to talk to me, but you can't do both at the same
Yeah.
time." So yeah, she's known me like that all my life, so she's pretty cool with it too. Sometimes she tends to
Did
forget, but yeah.
right. Yeah, all these regular people do
Yeah.
forget at some point.
Yeah.
Does she know the name Misophonia now, or does she? It's just the thing. Yeah, it's Cleo.
No, she knows that it's a name. I told her about it. She wasn't as impressed as I was, but because maybe I don't, yeah,
Right.
it doesn't really affect her as much as it does affect me. But yeah, no, I told her as soon as my mom told me. She was one of the first people. I told her that there's a name for it now, and that it actually is a kind of disorder, and people are trying to figure out ways to cope with it, or if there's maybe some kind of therapy that is not just me being, oh,
Yeah.
I don't like sounds. So yeah, there are also a lot of
Are there?
yeah.
Yeah. Are there any interesting therapy? Obviously, since you found out I had a term, like many of us, you've probably done a bunch of research, or slowly read about it
Yeah.
over the years. Is there anything interesting you've kind of picked up that's maybe helped you? I know there's nothing
Um,
really new. It's hard to
yeah,
find
it's
any.
it's it's
It's the really early
difficult.
days, but
I know
it,
what really helped my mom and me when we first heard about, or when she first heard about the term misophonia, that it actually is a thing. she's someone, if she finds something interesting, she just says herself, she Googles the shit out of it. Like she's just like day and night, she just Googles
Oh
and
yeah.
tries to find more things, and she's very into it and into research. And she then came across this um I don't know, this convention kind of thing, and I think it was in America too, where where loads of misophonia people meet, and then there's some guest speakers and some doctors. And I think it had a real name, but I can't remember. I don't remember where it was. But they, on their homepage, they said, on this in the state, we have this misophonia convention, and people who stay in the hotel, they did like a little checklist and said, in every hotel room, we also provide two single beds for the misophonia person and his or her spouse, which made us laugh because we loved that. And
Hmm.
also, it said that no eating certain things, no drinking in the areas where all the people are together, because it triggers a lot. So there were these points that we just went through, which kind of made us smile, because those are the things that are important for us, that no one understands. And then reading that there's this convention and people trying to learn about misophonia, and all these misophonia people, I don't know how you say it, actually come to one spot and they talk to each other and try to find out what the triggers is, how it started, if there's something they can do about it. That just really fascinated us. So that really helped to know that there's actually like a pretty large group out there everywhere, that suffer from misophonia. That it's really not just one doctor in, I don't know, somewhere in America saying yes, it's misophonia is a thing, but no one believing him. That is actually more and more people figuring out that it is a problem and it is a disorder, and that helps, the
Yeah, I think you're
acknowledgement.
actually. I think. Yeah, I mean, I think you're talking about the Misophonia Association convention, which I've been to the last two. Actually, the this year's was just finished yesterday. It was a virtual one.
Oh, wow, okay.
But this actual podcast was inspired by the last year's
Ah,
convention that I went to in Denver, where yeah, I got to. I mean, it was the second one I'd gone to. I got to kind of meet up again, catch up with people I'd met at the first one,
yeah, that's so
and
cool.
just kind of that kind of one-on-one uh, relationships with people
Yeah.
is what inspired this podcast. It's
Ah,
more than just
okay.
kind of us ranting about our triggers, just
Yeah.
kind of having those conversations is very powerful in
Yeah.
itself. That's what this was about. But you're right. It's they only pick. I'm not a member of the association. I mean, I'm a member, but I'm not on the organizing committee. But they always pick like a certain the Embassy Suites hotels, I think, because they have like two doors. They have the out like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
main
exactly.
hotel room door, and then they have an internal door too to get before you get to your actual bed. So it's
Yeah.
like perfect. And then they also for breakfast and actually all their meals. They like the first time I went, the breakfast was like hard boiled eggs, muffins, all soft foods.
Yeah, yeah, I
And
love
so
that.
there was nothing that can crunch. It's just, yeah,
Yeah,
it was
it's
kind of
just so
cool.
thoughtful. It's just that
Hmm.
people acknowledge it. It helps to just serve soft things for breakfast, which actually is just so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom
Yeah,
really
it
wants to
definitely
go
is
there at some
surreal.
point.
Yeah, if you guys can make it, or it's, I highly recommend it. I mean, obviously rope it into like a vacation or whatever, but
Yeah, yeah,
it's just surreal to be sitting in a room with a bunch of people where don't have to, you don't really have to tell them everything. They understand.
yeah,
It's like
yeah,
you're kind of halfway. You can, it's kind of you're halfway to being their friends already without even saying anything.
yeah,
And
yeah,
because you kind of know I mean, all these pivotal moments in your life,
yeah,
they probably felt the same thing. It's kind of surreal. So,
yeah, yeah. It must be really cool.
and I'm hoping, I've talked to a bunch of people in Europe. I'm hoping that the community kind of grows in
Yeah,
Europe because there seems to be obviously, we always complain in America where there's not enough awareness, but I've talked to people in Czech Republic, Greece, Russia, where it's even less.
Yeah, yeah.
It's even more difficult to talk about. How would you say the? You don't know a lot of people in Germany, I guess, who have it, but would you say? How, do you know much about like? Is it written about a lot, maybe in the press at all? Misophonia or these kinds of issues?
Not really. I've listened to this big magazine that also has a German magazine who also has a podcast now. It's called Zeit, and
Hmm.
someone actually sent that to me. They had a little half an episode on their podcast was about misophonia, and I got really excited that it was actually a German podcast who talked about it. And then I started listening to it, and they interviewed a girl. She was like, I think in her early 20s, who suffered from misophonia, and said she did all this research, that there's also in Germany there was this one university who also tried to do some studies, but she had a very don't know how you say it, but I couldn't really listen to her because she had a something in her voice that just drove me crazy. And I also had the feeling that they
Yeah.
didn't have a good microphone, which really pissed me off, to be honest, because it's such a, you talk about this topic with noise sensitivity, and then you don't get a good microphone, so people who actually suffer from this don't want to listen to it because it just doesn't
Right.
sound good. So I couldn't, I actually didn't listen to it to the end, because at some point I just had to give up. It just made me too
Yeah.
angry. But that was actually the first German, sort of German speaking, German language thing about misophonia that I heard of. Um, yeah, I don't remember which city it was in Germany that actually at some university had the tried to do some, or wanted to do some studies. But other than that, I don't really. It's more English articles that I find in the internet, like America, or sometimes from the UK, but mostly American things. Not really a
Yeah,
lot of
that's interesting.
German. Yeah.
I'm planning to do transcripts for all these episodes of this podcast,
Ah,
partly
that's cool.
because like I don't know if people are could be annoyed with somebody's voice or just are
Yeah.
apprehensive about listening to podcasts in general, which I totally understand. So
Yeah.
I want to do transcripts, but then I could also pump it into Google Translate and spit out like a German version of all the
Yeah. Oh,
episodes, which might
yeah.
be
It's
interesting
pretty
for
interesting. Yeah.
to kind of get awareness in other countries
Yeah.
if someone is searching in because you can Google, this is how ignorant I am, I should know, but you can Google it with that with in Germany in German and get like German results, right? So I'm
Yeah.
hoping
Yeah.
that if I have a translated version, then it might show up and
Yeah.
hopefully help somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. Even if it's just
Um,
it's one or two people, it just helps so much to know that
right.
there's, yeah, like a community, to also know that it is a real thing, and it's not just yeah, just a thing in your head, that you're not crazy, that it actually is a disorder, as you like, yeah, call it.
Well, yeah. So I guess we're getting close to the top of the hour again. But I'm curious. Is there anything you want to tell people who might be listening about your experience, or maybe wanting to reach somebody in Germany? Yeah, just anything you want to tell the listeners. And obviously, the listeners will hear more about you when your mom gets on the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, any kind of last words you want to share?
um in general, even though I, with age it gets worse, like the triggers get worse, or the sounds, the misophonia itself, it does actually get easier to cope with it. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
it's a common theme that's come up, but yeah,
yeah, it's even though it's more, you just at some point you just know who you are, and what sounds and what you don't like and what you do like, and find your own little coping mechanisms, and that actually just makes life easier, even if you're scared that there are always going to be new triggers, which I'm pretty sure that I'm not at the end of it, that there's going to come a couple of more things.
right.
But yeah, just yeah, knowing that there's things like the listening to podcasts, listening to music, having headphones in your ears, or having a spouse who actually tries to understand what you're going through, even though they'll never fully understand, but they'll try.
Never.
Yeah.
They would never will.
No.
Actually, that's an interesting point you just said about how, yeah, as you get older, you know yourself better. Do you feel like misophonia has kind of helped you, um, just helped you be closer to yourself because um, you've had to deal with these issues for so long? Do you think it's like affected your
um,
personality? You said you're an introvert. I'm
yeah.
curious if you feel like there's any. I mean, I am. I mean, many of us are. But I'm curious if it's kind of um, that being inside yourself so much has kind of helped you get to know yourself better, and then as you become an adult, maybe make it easier to kind of stand up for yourself more.
um, yeah, I think that it helps to stand up for yourself more. That I've always liked to be alone, so I've always been like in my head all the time. But
Yeah.
for like going into the outside world, also with this being at now, for example, at my boyfriend's parents for dinner, that at some point I told him, as soon as we come in, you have to do me a favor and just put it on the radio in the background, because I don't want to be the person to tell your parents. And at some point I thought, why actually not? Because I'm not ashamed anymore. Well, maybe it's just to some extent with some people. So that's not
Yeah.
fully true. But to just slowly learn to say, I need the music in the background. What's so bad about it? It's nothing. It's not like I'm putting heavy metal on or something. It's just a little bit of
Which would
music.
be fine too. That would be,
Which also would be fine, sure.
yeah.
Standing up for myself, that actually that helped. Even it takes a little time, but just being okay with the person you are. Everyone has some kind of, let's call it, weirdness to themselves. If it's not within a very social or too social, or the introvert or
Yeah.
extrovert, everyone has something. So misophonia is a thing, and people should just learn to, like, outsiders should learn to see that it's a thing, and take it seriously.
Did you end up telling your boyfriend's parents?
I didn't tell them that what it's called. I told them that I'm
Yeah.
sensitive to noises and eating, especially things like that. As soon as I don't get the reaction that I hope I would get, I stop talking about it. If it's so
Yeah.
I just tell them then the basics, and if it's not like, oh, how interesting, and oh, we didn't know, and then I don't need to go into it further.
Yeah.
So I'm happy that they know, but I don't need to really discuss it with them any further.
I think we all understand
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Totally. Um, well, cool. Cleo, yeah, I want to say, yeah, it's been great talking. Yeah, once again, is there anything else you want to share, or well, I'm sure we'll have more good stuff with your mom.
Yeah, I just want to say I'm
Yeah,
very
but
excited what she's what she's going to
yeah,
say.
so am I.
So yeah.
That's really interesting. Well, great. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks again, Cleo, for
Yeah,
coming
thanks for
on.
having me.
Thank you, Cleo, and thanks for connecting me with your mother as well. This was a great little two-parter with a lot of insights people can absorb. Remember, anyone can be on the podcast too, just by going to the Be a Guest link on the website, misophoniapodcast.com. Leave me any feedback and connect with me on Instagram or Facebook at Misophonia Podcast, or Twitter at Misophonia Show. As always, I want to remind folks to go to Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star review. You don't even have to write anything. Music, as always, is by Moby. And until next week, and next year. Wishing you peace and quiet.